Okay, here we go. Feels funny, I've got nobody in Zoom, but we may have people in our Facebook world. If not, it will be on catch up for you. So today is our class for yoga for the back and back care. So to put in the explanation, sometimes when we focus on the back, we think a lot of arching and folding. It sort of feels like it eases out the back, but that can sort of trigger more discomfort or spasming around the muscles. So our aim today is to move nice and gently. We take side bends and rotations, little bit of flexion and extension, but not too much through the spine. We work more on core control and we work into the hips. So our hip flexors and our hamstrings and our glutes and our piriformis are often what leads to tightness through the back. So we work on those areas a lot. It's a nice, gentle, slow class. You'll need a yoga strap or a belt. And if you've got a roll towel, then or a bolster, I would have that to hand. So if you're using the playlist, you can pop that on now. And you're going to begin in a supported Shavasana shape. So that's where you use the blanket, roll blanket, towel or bolster just under the knees to give yourself a little bit of a lift, releases out the lower back. Obviously, you can always bend the knees in if you prefer, but just lifting the knees gives a little bit of softness to the lower back. So you can take this position, settle in, close the eyes. And just allow yourself to land. Be aware of the body supported on the earth and feel the weight through the legs and the arms. As you transition into your practice here, just start to become aware of the breath. Just notice the quality of the breath. Be aware of where you feel the body breathing. And you can start to deepen the breath. Feel that sense of stillness coming over the mind and the body. Nowhere else to be, just focusing simply on the breath. And as you stay with your breath, just be aware of anywhere that you can consciously soften. Unclenching the jaw and softening the forehead. We're just going to start on the floor, taking those stretches for the legs and the hips. So if you've got that bolster under the legs, just slide it out to the side. And then bend the knees in so they're closer to the hips. The feet are close to the hips, a little bit wider. And from there, we're just taking a very gentle sway of the knees side to side. Doesn't have to match the breath. More you're just tuning into those movements. That very slight rotation through the low back. Be aware of any tightness. Be aware of how you, even with just a simple movement, start to create a little bit more range of movement, a little bit more space. And then next time that the knees come up to center, just hug them into the chest. You can hug them nice and close, or you can draw the knees wide. So you hug the knees in, feel that compression through the hips. Just lengthen the tailbone down. So we're pressing as many of our vertebrae down into the earth as we can. Just this in itself, a little rocking can just ease out tightness in the low back. All right, from there, you're using your strap. We're going to take those nice supported hamstring stretches. So with your belt or yoga strap, loop the right foot, send it up to the sky. This is working into the hamstrings. So send the heel away, push through the sole of the foot. You can always wrap the hands up into the strap so you take away all the weight, all the effort. Just the weight of the arms is where we get the stretch into the leg. This may be where you want to stay, or you can lengthen the left leg out. It's a lovely stretch for the hamstrings without putting too much strain on the low back. And we're keeping a nice neutral spine. You can always keep the knee bent if you want a little bit more release through the low back. Take a few breaths here. As you breathe into the back of the right leg, you may find a little bit more length, be able to draw the right foot closer towards you. And then from there, take the strap into the left hand. Hook your right hip with the right hand so this hip doesn't move off the ground. You can straighten the left leg out a little bit if it's not there already. We're just dropping the right leg across the body. It doesn't move very far. It's like you're finding as much distance from this right hip to the right heel as you can. The stretch will be all the way up the outside of the right leg. And getting into the IT band, the outer hip. We're also stretching through a nerve that runs through that outer part of the leg as well. You can feel that sort of tingling stretch. Take a couple of breaths. And then bring that right leg back up. You can remove the strap. Just cross your right ankle over the left knee. Press the right knee away. This stretch is getting into the right hip. So keep the toes flexed, protect your knee, and just pick the left foot up off the floor. Now, if this feels tight straight away into the right hip, you might want to lift and lower just to ease into that hip a little bit. If you're feeling any twinging in the knee, just move out of it. If you feel nice and comfy, you can always thread the hands through and grab the left thigh. Breathe into the right hip. One more full round of breath. And then we swap sides. So release the legs, grab your strap again, loop the left foot into the strap, press the foot towards the sky. You can wind your hands into the strap, make it as effortless as possible. And then start to draw down on the left foot whilst trying to, at the same time, send the heel away. You may want to straighten out the right leg. You're straightening the right leg, that leg is nice and heavy. We just keep working into the back of the left leg. Breathing here. Drawing the foot in close. Back of the hips are pressing down into the mat. From there, take the strap in your right hand, use the left thumb just to anchor the left hip down. Extend the leg and then start to drop it straight across the body. That left foot only really comes about parallel with the right hip, maybe just over. Feel as if you're breathing length into the outer part of the left leg, hip bone to heel. And then lift that leg back up. Remove the strap, cross your left ankle over the right knee. Flex the feet here, press the left knee away. If you want to take that little bit of movement in and out of the left hip, you can do. If you feel ready to thread the hands, draw the right knee in close. You can land there for a few breaths. Okay, release the legs. Hug both knees into the chest. So last little bit on the floor here. Hug the left knee in, send the right leg long. As you draw that left knee or shin in as close as you can, feel like you need to soften the belly, soften the hip crease to find a little bit of space. And then swap sides. Right knee comes in, left leg goes long. And draw that right knee close. And then return it back to the left leg, hug it in. Maybe find a little bit more space this time. And then we take it into a nice easy twist. So draw the left knee across the body. If you're finding that you need to hover here, you can always prop it with a cushion or a block if you have them to hand, or just try and get the big toe to at least touch down. Sometimes if it's enough space, you might be able to place a fist underneath that left knee. The left arm could fan out to the side. And find that balance between left shoulder and left knee wanting to drop down. It should feel like a twist that you can stay in for a few breaths, nothing too severe. And then unravel nice and slowly. Take time to come back to center, realign hips with the shoulders before taking the other side. So right leg in, left leg long. And then we take it into the twist across the body. Let the right arm come out to the side. And just let the body land here, moving slowly into that rotation. And feel the breath expanding and contracting. Lovely. Unravel yourself just as slowly on this side. Realign the hips. Hug the knees into the chest. Before we come up to sitting, just take a happy baby, feet to the sky, hold the outer edges, or you can just loop the hands around the back of the thighs if that feels more accessible. Again, as we did at the start, send the tailbone down. Feel like you're pressing as much of the spine down into the mat as you can. All right, when you're ready from there, hug the knees in, rock and roll yourself to sitting, or you can come around onto your side. Take an easy seat when you arrive. Yeah. Interlace the fingers, press the palms up to the sky. You're finding as much length as you can from the sit bones all the way up. So feel like you're stretching the spine out without too much stress or bend. We're just lifting up. Move into that space. So wiggle through the side body. Lift as high as you can. And then we take a side stretch from here. So bring the right hand down, walk it away from your body as you reach the left hand up and over. So this is more stretching into these muscles that are connecting from low ribs down into the hips. We're not overly stressing the spine, but we're just loosening the muscles around it. So keep drawing the left shoulder back. Don't collapse into your twist. And then come up nice and slowly. Same thing the other side. Walk the left hand or slide the left hand away. Reach the right hand and arm up and over. Keep gluing the right hip down into the mat. That's it. Come back up. Take a nice easy twist. So turning to the right, bring the left hand across to the right knee, right hand nice and close behind you. Use a breath in to lengthen first of all, and then see if there's more space to twist as you breathe out. So it doesn't have to go too far. You may just be pointing to that top left of your mat, sorry, top right. Or you may be able to draw the right shoulder back a little bit further, maybe turn the gaze. And then slowly come back to center. Take a little lift and wiggle through the spine. Start to turn yourself to the left, right hand across the body. Breathe in to lengthen up through the spine. Move into that twist as you breathe out. This time to just land here, to keep moving into it with the breath. As you settle, maybe turn the gaze a little bit more back towards the left shoulder. Bring it back to center. Find your tabletop position from here. All right, so we're not moving straight into cat and cows. We're just engaging a little bit through the core. So place the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And notice what the low back's wanting to do. Just draw the belly button in towards the spine. Just lengthen the tailbone a little bit. So we're trying to find a nice neutral position with the spine. Keep the head in line. Just draw the shoulders down the back a little bit. So we're still finding space, shoulders to ears. And then keeping the belly drawing in, feel more as if you're just drawing the heart through between the upper arms. Now the lower back will want to arch a little bit, but we're just not over stressing it. So heart comes through. And then take it the other way, push into the hands, drop the chin towards the chest, open between the shoulder blades, and then just draw the tailbone under as far as feels comfortable. That's it. So more finding space and folding forward. Come back as if towards your cow, but just thinking more about the heart than the tailbone. And keep the belly button drawing in. Round yourself up into cat. Just take a few easy movements with the breath here, inhaling to cow, consciously moving, rounding into cat. Keep it flowing with your breath. And then from here, make the movement more fluid. Let the body wiggle side to side, stretch through the ribs. You can roll the torso round, but maybe only moving to about 60–70% of where you think you could land in any of these movements and poses. So it's about finding easy, fluid movements, not big stretches. All right, from here we're taking a downward dog, but we're focusing more on the spine, so don't press the legs out straight. Bring the hands slightly further forward, tuck the toes, keep the knees bent as you lift the hips up. So find that position first of all, press into the hands, spiral the biceps in towards the ears. And then notice how it's feeling in your low back. Can you send the tailbone up? And if there you have space to start straightening the legs or pedaling the legs, you can take that. If it just feels better to be long in the spine, keep the knees a little bit soft. And we're just holding for a couple of breaths. And then from there, drop the knees down to the mats. Once they've touched down, take the knees wider, big toes to touch, and sink hips back towards the heels. So finding your child's pose. Really lengthen fingertips towards the top of your mat. Find as much length as you can. Couple of breaths here. And again, we work into the side body by taking those side stretches from your child's pose. So lift up onto the fingertips, walk hands off to the right-hand side of your mat as far as you can. And then drop palms down. Feel like you're drawing the floor back towards you and sink into the left hip. Breathe deeply into the whole left-hand side of the body. And then do the same on the other side. Walk slowly back through center. Take the hands over to the left. Drop the palms, draw the floor back towards you, sink towards the right heel. Breathing here. And then come back to center. All right, lifting back up out of your child's pose. Bring the weight forward over the hands. So we're just staying in a modified high plank. Draw the belly in. Bring the weight forward. Take a big breath in. And then lower down nice and slowly as you breathe out. Yeah. Coming into our Sphinx pose. Okay, so this is a back bend. If you feel this in your low back, walk the elbows further forward. So as far, further forward your arms are, the less pressure is going to be in your low back. Press pubic bone down into the mat. Find a little bit of length through the tailbone. And just settle in here for a few breaths. And then you're welcome to stay in cobra for in Sphinx, sorry, for a little bit longer, or take baby cobras. If you're happy to take a little bit more flow, build a little bit more strength through the back. Lower yourself down, place hands underneath the shoulders, elbows in at the side. Now these are only going to be baby cobras, so we're not lifting too high. Press tops of feet, pubic bone, hip bones into the mat. And then use the strength in the back of the body just to lift the shoulders and the heart a little way. So no twinging in the low back, almost like you're only coming to that 45-degree angle with the body, and then lower it back down. Yeah, take the hands maybe down a fraction more, draw the elbows in, breathing in, lift the heart. Lower it down. Take a couple more with your breath. Lovely. Then push back to all fours. Reset your tabletop. Your movements of the spine, not really arching, but just stretching through the back body more, taking the opposite movements to those cobras. All right, from there, right fingertips behind the ears, move into a little bit of rotation, but nice and easy. So make sure the knees are wide enough to keep you supported and balanced. And then use the breath, open that elbow on the inhale, tap it down towards the left arm as you exhale. That's it, inhale to open, exhale to tap. Take 3 more with your breath. Hips are staying nice and level. Rotation is moving from the waist and up into our thoracic spine. Lovely. Open the elbow for the last time. Reset hands back down underneath the shoulders. Make any adjustments, then take the other side, left fingertips behind the ears. Inhale to open, move slowly on this first one. Tap elbow to arm as you breathe out. And then keep it flowing with your breath. Got 3 more. Lost count, so I don't know if that was 4 or 5. But next time you open the elbow, then reset the hands back down to the floor. All right, let's take a lunge, working into the hip flexors. So remember, we're keeping this all quite nice and soft and easy. It's to stretch out certain parts, but without stressing the low back. So step your right foot forward. If you want to pad underneath your back knee, you can. That's it. Keep the body angled forward to begin with so that you can set up the legs. Start to sink into the hips. And then from there, walk hands up onto the front thigh. Ease out of your lunge a little bit just so that you can work on engaging through the core, sending the tailbone down. And even here, that might be enough of a stretch into the hip flexor, in which case, just stay here. Send the tailbone underneath, tip the pelvis, and stay in this position. If you want to drop a little bit more in, then you can. Just make sure the back isn't fighting with the hip flexor, because that can sometimes leave us feeling a little bit more tender after our practice. So find that balance of position. The emphasis is into the left hip flexor. And stay here with your breath. Lovely. Bring the hands back down to the floor. Just sink a little bit more into the hips, but with that angled body so that we're not bending into the low back. Just softening into the hips here. That's it. Take a big breath in. As you breathe out, walk the fingertips back, lengthen that right leg. Lift the toes up. Send the hips back, and if you can, pick up the chest. Bring it back forward. Keep your left hand down on the mat and spiral your right arm up to the sky. So as you sink in here, we have a little bit of hip stretch, but then also that easy rotation through the upper spine. So draw the top hand back, maybe gaze up. And then bring yourself back. Move nice and slowly out of that, coming back to your tabletop position. As always, any movements just to ease out the spine. And then when you're ready to, left foot's coming forward. Keep the body tilted forward as you set up the legs. And when you're ready, bring hands up onto the left thigh. Draw yourself out of that lunge a little way. Think about the core, tailbone down. Notice how that feels in your right hip flexor. If it feels better to stay here with the tailbone down than moving anywhere, then do that. Breathe into this right hip, or you can start to drop in slightly to increase the stretch. A couple more breaths. And then bring the hands down to the mat. Sink a little bit further into the hips, keeping the spine long. That's it. And then start to walk your fingertips back, straightening the left leg, lift the chest, flex the foot. Left leg is as straight as you can manage, but if you have a bend in it, that's not a problem. Just keep sending the heel away from the hip. And walk it back forward. All right, we're moving back to just an easy downward dog. So pick up your back knee, step your left foot back, and as you arrive in that downward dog, again, keep the knees nice and bent. We're working more on length through the spine, then length through the back of the legs. And then from there, we're moving into our pigeon stretch. So bring the right knee forward towards the right wrist. Drop yourself down into pigeon. Now tuck this front foot in as much as you need to make sure that you're not feeling discomfort in the knee. And again, keep the body nice and forward. We don't want to overly arch the low back. So once you're here, take a breath in to lift the chest. And then as you breathe out, ripple your way down, forearms land on the mat. And then pick back up. Inhale, heart comes through. Exhale, lower. Couple more nice fluid movements. And the next time you land down, stay there. Either make a pillow for the forehead or just drop forehead to the mat. Soften into that right hip. All right, lift yourself nice and slowly up. Start to tuck the back toes inch forward. We're coming into a cow face legs with the right leg on top. So this is one transition. If it's not for you, find your own way there. You can tuck the left knee behind, open the feet out and sit back. If that's not for you and not for your knees, just spin the legs round. When you get there, right leg is on top. Yeah, knees are well close to stacking. You can inch the feet out if your hips have space. And then sit nice and tall. If you want to lean it forward slightly, you can do. This is a big stretch for the hips, the outer hips. So just find where you can land. A few breaths. Okay, lift back out. Top leg is moving around. Spin yourself to find pigeon on the other side. Your left knee will be forward. Make any adjustments that you need. Keep the chest leaning forwards so that we have a nice long spine. When you arrive there, inhale to lift the heart. Exhale to ripple forward. One more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, ripple down. Take two more with your breath. Next time you land down, stay there, make any movements of the hands to support the head or just rest the head down on your mat. And then lift yourself up nice and slowly. Tuck the back toes, start inching in. Again, your sit back transition is there, right knee behind the left, and you're going to sit yourself back or spin the legs round. However you get there, left leg will be on top, left knee will be on top, inch the feet out as far as you feel comfortable, sit nice and tall. Maybe lean it forward. So last big stretch for the hips. So breathe into them, find that softness. And then lift yourself up. Unravel the legs. We're going to roll down to the mat from here. So take your time arriving, lift the chest. Start to roll yourself through the spine. When you land on the floor, draw the right knee in. Keep the left leg nice and long. And just drop into that shape. Find as much softness through the right hip crease as you can. Draw the right knee up towards right shoulder. Maybe notice a little bit more space than was there at the start of your practice. Release that leg. Let's take the same on the other side. Left knee in, right leg long. And hug both knees into the chest. We're taking a twist with both knees to finish. If you prefer to keep your legs down on the floor and drop them, please take that option if you don't want to bring in the core too much at the end. So bring the hands out to the side. So toes are either on the mat or knees are open to 90 degrees. Take a big breath in. And then drop your knees over to the right. As you land there, left shoulder draws back towards the earth. Turn the gaze to the left. And then return gaze to center. Pick the knees up. Arriving back at the top. Big breath in. And then knees drop over to the left. Gaze to the right. Return gaze to center. And pick the knees back up. Take a final hug of the knees, happy baby. Any particular movement that you feel your back would appreciate. And then we'll finish with that supported Shavasana where we started. So bolster or rolled blanket just under the knees. Just to find that little bit of lift and release for the low back. Of course, if you want to, just bend the knees. Let the arms come down by the sides, falling away from the body. Feet fall open, palms face up. You're landing here for your final few moments in Shavasana. Feel heavy. And there you can start to draw your awareness back to the physical body. Taking those deeper breaths. And as you breathe deeper, bring some small movements back into fingers and to toes. Allow that movement to spread throughout the rest of the body. Maybe taking a stretch or a sway of the knees side to side. Gently returning that movement through the spine as well as the rest of the body. And then when you're ready to roll to one side, and take your time moving back towards a comfortable seat. When you land there, keep the eyes closed. Be aware of how the body is sitting, where you can find length through the spine. You can just align your posture to find a sense of ease. And soften through shoulders, through jaw, and through forehead. And close our practice, taking a final big breath in, reaching the arms up above the head. Breathing out as palms come to touch. We take thumbs to the forehead for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind actions. Thank you for joining me for your practice today. Namaste.